Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production that are emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right is an email that was sent by the victims' lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact, a list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victims' survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking, Co-Conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, I'm going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files, but he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking, not to prostitution, not to money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here is the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm going to answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr.
Chairman.
This is how this works.
Can I have my time back? Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from Kentucky.
All right, I'm reclaiming my time.
Can I give my answer?
So I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
We'll let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to his next question.
It's my time.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
Red-handed? There was one redaction out of over 4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to get, you're a failed politician. You need to get on to watch the video.
Mr. Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information. None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You don't get to reclaim
because
time
this is bigger than Watergate.
When I don't answer a question the way you want.
This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
where the
I want to know at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Les Wexner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
She didn't answer the question.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering.
The gentlelady's allowed, the Attorney General's allowed to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican, Democrat.
All right, I have unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for a UC.
All right, this is an example. I'm submitting these 302 forms that are entirely redacted, even when you go to look at them.
Without objection.
I'm submitting a witness statement that implicates Les Wexner.
Without objection.
I'm submitting an article from the New York Times that the DOJ released nude photos and identifiable pictures of the victims. I'm submitting a letter from A.G. Bondi to Kash Patel, imploring him to quit keeping the files when you found out that they were keeping files from you, because they're still redacting files that you...
Chairman, are we going to recess for votes?
Yes, we are.
I'm submitting for unanimous consent a document of 17 individuals who've resigned because of the Epstein files.
Without objection.
Yeah, it's a wild one. We are pulling this from the YouTube channel Hook Global.
Right. And the central focus here is the Department of Justice and their compliance with the Epstein Files Transparency Act.
But before we jump in, just a quick heads up for you listening. This transcript gets intensely political.
Oh, yeah. It throws around some really heavy accusations.
Yeah.
So as always, we are not here to take sides or endorse any partisan viewpoints from the left or the right.
Exactly. We are strictly here to impart the facts of this exchange exactly as they went down.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Republican Representative Thomas Massie brings just a literal mountain of exhibits to confront Pam Bondi, who is answering for the DOJ. Where does he even start?
He comes out swinging with a massive claim about victim privacy. Massie presents an email sent by survivors' lawyers to the DOJ.
And this email specifically listed names that needed to be kept confidential, right?
Right. But according to Massie, the DOJ accidentally released that exact email in their document dump.
Wait, they released the exact list they were explicitly asked to protect?
Yes. And to make it worse, Massie points out that the DOJ managed to redact the lawyer's name, but left a survivor's name fully exposed.
Which allegedly resulted in unwanted phone calls. I mean, that is a catastrophic privacy breach, if accurate.
It is. He then follows that up by submitting a New York Times article alleging the DOJ even released identifiable nude photos of victims.
That is awful. But Massie also goes after the redaction process itself, right?
Yeah.
Specifically regarding Les Wexner.
He does. In a very theatrical moment, Massie actually unredacts a document live during the hearing.
Wow. And what did it reveal?
It reveals Wexner listed not for tax evasion or financial crimes, but specifically as a child sex trafficking co-conspirator.
So Massie uses this to argue the DOJ is hiding the truth behind heavy black ink, right? Pointing specifically to the FBI's FD-302 forms. And just to be clear for everyone listening, those FD-302s are the official forms the FBI uses to summarize witness interviews.
Right. So if those are over-redacted on the public portal, no one can actually search for specific claims or names.
It effectively neutralizes the transparency portal completely. Does Massie frame this as just administrative sloppiness, or is he implying something more deliberate?
Oh, he goes all in. He explicitly calls it a cover-up bigger than Watergate, claiming it spans 4 different presidential administrations.
So he is alleging a massive multi-administration conspiracy.
Yes, naming Biden, Obama, and Bush. He even submits a document claiming 17 individuals have resigned over these files, and he pulls out a letter from Bondi to Kash Patel.
Ah, Kash Patel, who, as you listeners probably know, has been a central figure pushing for widespread document declassification. So Bondi's letter was imploring Patel to stop keeping files from the DOJ.
Right, and what's fascinating here is how the defense responds to this avalanche of specific document-based accusations.
How does Bondi counter the Wexner claim?
She points out that his name actually appears over 4,000 times in the released files, arguing they aren't hiding him.
And what about that specific co-conspirator redaction Massie dramatically unmasked?
She claims it was simply an error that they corrected within 40 minutes.
I am guessing Massie did not quietly accept that explanation.
Not at all. He immediately starts yelling that they only fixed it in 40 minutes because he caught them red-handed.
But Bondi stands her ground.
She states categorically there is no credible information that Wexner trafficked others. She added she would have brought that case yesterday if there were.
And then she urges any victims with real information to call 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Exactly.
Well, here's where it gets really interesting, because the hearing doesn't stay focused on the documents for very long, does it?
Not even close. The decorum completely breaks down.
The transcript just turns into a barrage of the chairman desperately trying to maintain order.
While politicians just scream reclaiming my time at each other.
Right. And Bondi doesn't just defend the DOJ, she completely pivots to attacking Massie personally.
Yes. Instead of sticking to redaction policies, she goes on the offensive. She publicly diagnoses Massie with Trump derangement syndrome.
She calls him a failed politician, too.
Yeah. And then in a wild pivot, she calls him a hypocrite because he was one of only 2 people who voted against a ban on deep fake AI porn.
Wow. Just weaponizing his voting record to deflect from the Epstein Files entirely.
Exactly. If we connect this to the bigger picture, you start to realize how near impossible genuine government oversight becomes when every inquiry devolves into political theater.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, trying to actually stay well-informed,
Yeah.
it means you have to build a filter.
You really do.
You have to learn how to separate the crucial documentary evidence, like the handling of those FD 302 witness forms, the survivor privacy breaches, and the redaction policies from the circus of personal insults that are explicitly designed to distract you.
This raises an important question, and it is something I want you to mull over long after this deep dive ends. If a Transparency Act is created specifically to bring dark truths to light, how can the public ever truly trust the outcome when the very mechanisms of release like redactions and digital document portals simply become the new battleground for what stays hidden?